Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal. We are back again with Cozy. We're expecting a very, very big summer where we could spend another 200 million. But all that might not come from the Kronkers this time. We might have to sell some players to fund our new transfers. Partey, Smith Rowe, Jesus have all been linked to the move away from Arsenal. But should we keep or sell them? To help me through this is Cozy once again. How are you?
I'm okay, bro. This is a very exciting one. We might have a lot of disagreements, big debate. When it comes to who goes, who stays. You're a little bit lenient with the likes of Jesus. I'm a ruthless one. I decide to always clean the squad and make sure we have top quality. So very excited for this one. Anyone in the comment box below? Glenn is trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much for the love. We appreciate.
Absolutely. So the way you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing a start, bench, loan, or sell. So in the comment section, as we go with this one, let us know which players you'd start next season, which players you'd bench next season. So both of them can keep, but which ones would you start and bench? And then in terms of loaning, which players do you feel like, okay, they don't really have a spot next season, but you feel like in the future they will. So you want to loan them out. And then in terms of selling players, you're just absolutely done with and you want us to get the money for them, or you just feel like they're not going to help us in terms of winning the title. So we're going to start with the goalkeepers first, Cozy, and the first one will be Aaron Ramsdale. This is a big debate. Obviously, we signed him a couple of seasons ago. He had an incredible season the first time out, and obviously recently he's been dropped to the bench. So there's been talk about him leaving, and in terms of funding our transfers, is one of the guys that we can pick up a lot of money for. So would you keep, would you start him next season? Maybe there's some people who still want to start him, bench, loan, or sell. What would you do with Aaron Ramsdale?
Ram is a very interesting prospect because he's one of the best second goalkeepers in the world. If you have Ramsdale as your second goalkeeper, you're basically real sure that is nothing that can happen to Raya, and you really panic. Now I know Arsenal fans always we are in a frenzy, but to be honest, I don't think Aaron Ramsdale is a drop off, is a massive drop off from David Raya, and we all know that. So for me, he would be a definite keeper Arsenal. Probably on bench, just second to David Raya. I wouldn't say I would promote him over David Raya next season. But at the moment, we've got to look at his value, right? We've got to look at his value. His value is around 25 million euros to 30 million euros. And that is after having a season where he has consistently not played for Arsenal. He's very, very lucky that he's part of the 26-man squad that Gareth Southgate has actually called. I was even surprised. I thought he was going to be one of the players that were going to be dropped. So at the moment, Arsenal have their hands tied. It's a sell for me. I don't think Inaki Keina, the goalkeeping coach, really appreciates him that much. We know that he makes a lot of decisions and big decisions when it comes to goalkeepers, who starts, who comes in goal, and all that. So I think for me, Ramsdale is a sell. You've got to sell him, protect his value. This is the season you get the most amount of money. He's not like other players where if you think he's an outfield player. Next season he can get a lot of time. Next season he can get to be rotated a lot of time. I don't think. If Arsenal maybe in the Europa League, I would see him play Europa League and FA. But since we're in the Champions League, it's going to be Raya, 38 games in the Premier League, Raya around maybe 10, 12 games in the Champions League. I don't see Ramsdale's value going up. It's just going to keep going down. So at the moment, it's a sell for me.
Okay, so for me, Aaron Ramsdale, my preference would have been to keep him next season. But in terms of looking at our squad, is one of the only few players who we can get money for. And to have a player where you can sell an England international, you can get at least 30 million for him. You can probably make a profit or get the same amount of money that we bought him for. So I think it would just be better for him, because next season I know if Raya is here and then he makes one mistake, the talk will be around Ramsdale should be there, Ramsdale should be there. So I still love him. I think he's done very well for us. He's one of the players that is taking us to the next level. But I guess in terms of getting that money, I think many people will agree that it should be a sell. So next up, Cozy, is David Raya. David Raya, we are going to make his like his buy permanent soon. You're going to buy him permanently very soon. So the only two
Yeah.
options really for Raya is start or bench. Would you like to see a different goalkeeper? Maybe not a backup goalkeeper, but a goalkeeper is actually going to come and start, so an Oblak or something, and then have Raya on the bench? Or is he a definite start for you if you're the manager?
I don't know unless you're giving me which goalkeeper, Allison maybe is the one
Mm.
I would take at the moment. I like Oblak, but I don't think Oblak would convince me with his feet as compared to Allison. I think Raya is an absolute very good goalkeeper, an absolute talent that has gone through the radar. If there is anything that the Arsenal scouts have done that no one expected out there, was the David Raya deal. Like all the players that we've been linked with, the likes of Ben White, Odegaard, you could see the talent, you could see the trail. But with Ryan, no one expected it, and no one actually was welcoming to it. Like, we were like, "Why are you bringing in a new goalkeeper? You already have, a young, confident English goalkeeper." He's been sensational. He's transformed the way we play. There are not so many words to explain his performances, especially in the second part of the campaign. Keep, start. Buy him right now.
Buying right now, so it would be a starter for you next season. I think
Yeah,
Atsa
no
would
question.
absolutely agree with you. So that is an easy one. Now, Carl Hein. Personally, I feel like I've not seen enough of Carl Hein, but the games I've seen,
Yeah.
I don't think he's good enough. So I obviously it's not a starter. Would you like to have him on the bench if you can't buy another goalkeeper? Would you like to say, okay, listen, let's use that money elsewhere. Let's risk having Carl Hein as our backup goalkeeper next season? Or do you think he needs another loan, or do you think it's time for him to be sold?
Keep him. I would keep him part of the squad because the third choice goalkeeper and the second choice goalkeeper under Mikel Arteta, that is the easiest money you can make on the globe. Like in the world economy, the easiest money you can make is being Mikel Arteta's second goalkeeper and third goalkeeper. You're literally not going to play football. You're literally just there to train and push the others. So in terms of training with the team, in terms of pushing, maybe helping David Dreyer, pushing him in training, I don't think he's a bad is a bad player. So because we don't have two goalkeepers right now that we need, we have Raya, but we need a second one because we know Ram might be out of the door. We need a
Yeah.
third one after Okonkwo is gone. So we need to confirm who's going to be our third choice goalkeeper. I would go with Carl Hayne at the moment. I wouldn't spend money like the Athletic are saying that Arsenal could spend money on a second goalkeeper and a third goalkeeper. I wouldn't actually do that. Give him a new deal. Let him stay as our third choice goalkeeper, and then we go out in the market and maybe go get a Justin Bailo from Feyenoord. So for me, he's a keep. But on the bench, I wouldn't send him out on loan again. I wouldn't really.
Okay, Carl Hein on the bench. Nothing really much to say about him. I personally don't think he's that great. I personally loan him out. But bench, I don't mind it as well. A couple of Carabao
Yeah.
Cup games, I absolutely don't mind it. Now, we have a fourth choice goalkeeper in Okonkwo. What did you do with him?
Okonkwo for me, I've seen that Arsenal are looking to release him. I kind of feel like that is a little bit harsh. I think there is a talent in there. The only question is whether the player still feels he wants to be on the bench and be part of the squad, but among the players that are just squad players. If he wants to move on
Yeah.
and start a career, then you've got to sell. But it's one of the players that I would send out on loan just to observe them and see. There's a talent there. There's a very good goalkeeper there, but I think he was rushed a little bit. We saw him in some preseason games, under Mikel Arteta, and I'm like, okay, I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready for the big stage. So I would say send him out on loan. But the more likely outcome we might see is a sell. So if since we've kept Carline on the bench, I'll loan Okonkwo out for me.
So for me personally, I'd actually go for the opposite. I'd probably bench Okonkwo because he's been, voted goalkeeper of the year in terms of the League Two, and Carline, you haven't really seen him that much. I think he's now that maybe could need a loan next because this other one has gone out on loan. But I don't necessarily disagree too much with that. That's why I didn't really dispute it that much because, maybe both of them need a loan. Maybe I think Okonkwo, as you said, I think his contract is ending anyway, and I think he might end up leaving. I don't see him getting a new contract at all.
deal.
That would be a huge surprise. And maybe now that is, if he had like 1 year contract remaining, maybe they've been able to get something for him, even 6-7 million for him. But fortunately, his contract is ending. And that's a good balance in terms of the goalkeepers for different spots. But let's now get to the business. And now there's a couple of easy ones. Gabriel, was a definite sell?
I was watching TNT
Mm,
on Twitter, a clip, and they were saying that we might see another big offer coming for Gabriel from Saudi Arabia. Now, last summer Gabriel was big on the list, priority list for Saudi Arabia. They came in with very very big money. I tell you something, if Saudi Arabia came in and they offered us 80 million or
yeah,
100 million for
yeah,
Gabriel, I would
yeah,
sell. Like, I would
yeah.
really, really sell. 80 million to 100 million, I would sell. If I know Mikel Arteta and Edu have got the capability to replace him, but I don't think, apart from Saudi Arabia, I don't think anyone is really much that interested. And I would say, I know this is contrary to what many people have seen. For me, he's been the better centre back in that partnership this season. He's been more consistent than
Mm,
we have ever seen him. Now he's been at Arsenal longer than Saliba, and we all know the mistakes he makes. We all know that the way he loses his head a little bit. This season, he's been
flawless.
flawless, like really, really
Yeah.
flawless. Yes, there are a few things where you can really point to him, but when you compare the past seasons to this season, you've got to give him a thumbs up. So he's a definite start. That centre back pairing, I think it should stay the same for the next like 6-7 years.
So Gabriel, definite start, obviously, for both of us, Saliba as well. Now, personally, for me, in terms of rating who's been better than the other, I've always found it very, very tough. I feel like both of them have
Yeah.
been really, really good. As you say, not even just one thing. Goal scoring, both of them
Oh
incredible.
yeah.
Gabriel probably the better one. In terms of the keeping of the clean sheets, the better one. Gabriel this season, I think you'd say one of the most improved players.
Yeah.
Saliba, you'd say probably the most composed, and also in terms of playing all 38 games. Yeah, but Gabriel didn't play 38 games not because he wasn't fit, it's because he was dropped at the beginning of the season. But in terms of even the discipline, if you look at the number of yellow cards they've picked up, maybe
Yeah.
three for one player and four for another player. That's incredible for centre back. So both of them definite keep. Not to we're going to take too much time in terms of that. Next up is Ben White, because do you put him on the same category as Gabriel and Saliba in terms of definite keep and definite start?
Definite
Timber
keep.
is now there.
Yes.
Tomiyasu is now there. Do you think he's going
Yeah.
to be
Tomias
a
is
squad
there.
player next
Timber
season?
is there, and Arsenal are looking at a left back. So Julian
Mm,
Timber could actually come into that team, right?
mm,
So this is what I'm going to say with Ben. He's had a very fantastic ending to the campaign,
mm.
like second part of the campaign. He's been unbelievable, really, really unbelievable. But I've already said this, and I'll say it again. He's one of the players that I think Arsenal can upgrade upon. He's one of the positions, is in the position that we know we can upgrade upon. So if I put Julian Timber there and I got a good left back, that those fullback areas are actually more productive and much better. So for me at the moment, he's a start because of
Mm.
the season he has had. But I wouldn't really doubt, and I wouldn't really, be angry if Julian Timber was given a chance to start at right back, and then we play, a new left back, and then he becomes a squad player. But at the moment, he's a start. Like you just can't keep him out of the starting 11. It would be harsh. It would be ungrateful.
It's incredible the pedestal we put Timber on after watching him for only 2 games. So
Yeah.
going from what we've watched over the last 3 years, I think Ben White has been incredible for us. Like a guy who's always there, he can play centre back, right back. Would you like to see him moving back to right back and helping out Saliba, like the original plan was?
Yeah, I would love to see something like that. The thing with him is
Mm,
he's durable, like he's always
mm,
there, and we've been told that he can play through injuries. He doesn't really care, about himself that much more than the team. He actually cares about the team more than he cares about himself. I like such a player, but when we think about proper left back, proper right back, and the qualities you get, for example, like I said, the last part of the season, he's been incredible in terms of playing like a real right back.
mm.
The overlaps beyond Saka, those runs, the quality crosses. I think he delivered like two that I noticed, one for Kai Havertz against Brentford. So he's becoming more of a right back. And I don't think Arsenal are going to send a right back. But with Julian Timber, what we have seen and what you know about him is he is so right back. He is very, 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 very good on inverting, and total football. So that's why I'd place him ahead of Ben White in terms of right back contention. But for me, Ben at the moment, if he's not helping out Saliba, just keep him at his right back position. He's absolutely done well.
For me, it's a definite keep in the starting lineup. So you'd have Timber in the starting lineup as well on the left side.
Yeah, sure.
So Timber, let's see how it works out for him next one. Hopefully, he has a big season. He didn't get picked up for the Euro, so we won't really get to see him there. But that's good for us. He gets to have a full preseason, and next season we get to see a full season for him. Man, it's absolutely crazy that he got injured in the very first game, and then we saw him again in the very last one. Like, how is your luck? Like, I actually feel so bad for him and for Arteta and for the team as well in general. Whatever the plan was, we couldn't have used it. Basically, it's going to be like a new signing. Next up is Kiwior, because we've talked about Kiwior in a lot of shows before. It's an interesting one. Now, I've already given my thoughts on Kiwior. I feel like he's a very, very good player in terms of the squad, having him in and around. But he's been linked to the move away. But Kozi, what would you do with Kiwior?
He's not a start. There's no question there. He's not a start. You cannot 100% say he is in the bracket of Timber, Saliba, and Gabriel. But I think he's improving. If he stays at Arsenal, we might reach a time where we say one of the most improved players at Arsenal, one of the most improved, talents, in the Premier League. I see something there, right? And I know people will focus on Bayern Munich, people will focus on a few games, maybe FC Porto, but you've got to look at the bigger picture. There was a time where Arsenal relied on him. There was a time where you never expected anyone to play at left back other than him. And I thought that was really incredible of him to play out of position and to give himself a chance. And he actually did very well. Now, in terms of not picking up injuries, always being available, a ball playing centre back, can play at left back, can play at centre back. That is one player you have there, and people really might not see that as a real quality. But I've always compared him to Nathan Ake at Man City. City will not give you Nathan Ake. Like Chelsea were really big on him. They didn't give them Nathan Ake, and they went and signed Josko Gvardiol to show you that this guy is untouchable. He's so important to us, despite the fact that we think he's not concrete, starter at centre back and concrete starter at left back. We are not letting him go. So I think Jakub Kiwior is in that bracket, unless you're going to do something better, like I don't know, unless you're going to bring in a talent that is so better, Premier League proven, in his prime. I think Jakub Kiwior is one of the best profiles you can have in and around the squad, especially with the manager who doesn't change his starting 11 a lot. How many times does Mikel Arteta go, okay, now this time I want to play my second left back or my second left center back? Not so many of the times. So I think he can settle for a few games, a few minutes in a season, and that's one of the qualities that you've got to have as a bench player. Bench squad player. I would love to see him in the FA Cup. I would love to see him in the Carabao Cup, and even in some games where Arsenal have already qualified through the groups in the Champions League.
Yeah, it's a player you can bring on to cover for Gabriel for one game. It's a player you can bring on at left back for one game. It's a player you can bring on when you're leading the game and 20 minutes to go and you need just more defensive players. Kiwior can do the job for you. He's always fit, never complains about being on the bench. We signed him for cheap, so not really losing in terms of anything, in terms of having him on the bench. And people struggle these days to get players like that. So Kiwior, I definitely agree. So far, I think I agree with each one, because maybe apart from Ramsdale, I'm still 50-50 in terms of him. But in terms of money, we probably need that money. So I understand. Cedric Kozi is already gone, unfortunately. If he was not gone, would you put him on sell?
There should be a category of just vanish. We should have a vanish category. This guy, I would put him in the vanish category. Like just vanish from this squad. Don't want to see you ever again. Goodbye. Whatever you did, good or bad, goodbye. We don't need to negotiate with you to get money. Just leave. But I would just sell if his contract was still on. I would just sell. I don't think there was any quality there. I mean, he played at left back and right back, but either way, not a quality player for me.
If he had 1 year remaining on his contract, how much do you think we'd have sold him for if he was going to like a Leicester or Crystal Palace? How much do you think we'd have gotten for him?
I mean, Arsenal are very big on disappointing. They have sold Ban for what, 7 million?
Mm.
Yeah, so Cedric Suarez could be like 2 or 3 million.
Wow, incredible. Tomiyasu, another player we've been talking about a lot. Now, is he a
Yeah.
starter? Could he be the one to go ahead of Ben White instead of Timber? Or do you think he's just a bench player? Or do you think he should be sold to get us money? That 35, 40 million, use him on a swap deal or something like that?
He's untouchable. That's the first thing we know.
Mm,
And I've never doubted that he's untouchable to Mikel Arteta,
yeah.
to me, and he should be untouchable to many Arsenal fans, especially at the time where you have you know versatility playing a big part in this squad. We have seen
Mm,
players swap positions, especially in field, and people might not actually see this because most cases Kiwior will be read as at right back, at left back, or Zinchenko will be read at left back. But when you look at the game and when you concentrate on the game, you can see Zinchenko playing on the right hand side at times, and then Kai Havertz tracking back in certain positions, maybe in the left 8 or even in the 11. I think Tomiyasu is very versatile. As Cedric leaves, Tomiyasu gives us that assurance. Now, I don't think he's a starter because of his injury record. You cannot trust him that much. You need a team where we are right now. You need a team that is going to play 30 games, and each player is going to average 30 games in the Premier League because we don't have that massive squad of 30 players or 29 players. So you need players that can give you 30 games. I think Takara Tomiyasu is not that. But in terms of giving you those 15 quality performances, so these are the games that Takara Tomiyasu should appear.
mm,
Liverpool home and away, Man
mm-hmm,
City home and away.
mm-hmm.
I would say Tottenham,
Aston Villa?
Aston Villa. Aston Villa. I think Tottenham will invest hugely in the wide areas. They've decided to keep Timo Werner, but they will also add another winger. I would add Manchester United, Garnacho, and probably if they get Michael Olise. So those are the
Mm,
games I want to see him. Don't play him against
mm,
Luton. You are literally wasting gold. Don't do that,
mm,
right? Play him
mm.
against Bayern, play him against Vinicius Junior in the Champions League. If we don't meet Vinicius Junior in the Champions League, wait, keep him for next season. It's okay. Just make sure you give him his money. So he's a quality squad player. One of those that I
Mhm.
see being at Arsenal for quite a longer period of time. Even Glenn, you remind me, even next summer, I'll be saying the same thing. Keep on the bench, keep as part of the squad. And if he tries to complain, give him 5 games consecutively to make him feel important.
I think those Japanese guys are really nice in terms of being humble. You probably wouldn't
Yeah.
even do that. I absolutely love him, man. Big game player, as you say, those games where you need someone to, mark and all that. And he's a player who we can use at right back, we can use at left back, we can use at center back. Now, there's something going to say, I don't know if you're going to agree. I forget about last season. The previous season when Saliba got injured, Tomiyasu also got injured in the same game, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Actually,
I'm going to
Tommy got
say,
injured before.
mm,
Yeah.
so I'm going to say if Tomiyasu was there, we'd have won the Premier League because that would have allowed us to have Ben right next to Gabriel at centre back and Tomiyasu at right back. Do you
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
would have happened, or maybe would have been 2 points behind Man City in that season?
And actually, I don't think we would. I think there was a massive downgrade when it comes to Rob Holding. If it was
All day.
Tomiyasu who had actually played with these players a little bit more, I don't think the drop will be there. But you would have had a player who actually understands the partnerships and the
Mm.
patterns with these other players. I think with Rob Holding, he came in, he had not played for a long time, and it was a complete disaster, completely. So I agree with you in that season. If Tomiyasu is there, there are games we don't, there are games we
Yeah,
don't lose. There are games we
those
don't, there
those
are goals we don't concede.
games, those games against Southampton and all those guys. Now you say don't play Tomiyasu away against Luton. Would you play Zinchenko in those games, or do you think Zinchenko needs to go?
Oh, we need to make money. We need to make some money, and we now know that Mikel
Mm,
Arteta is not impressed by any of the left backs. We just can't keep on stockpiling them. If we were sure that Arsenal are sorted in terms of defense, they're not looking to add anyone. right? Then you keep him for the numbers, as part of the squad, a squad player. And I also think that he's got qualities that Arsenal really, really, really benefit from him, especially when you play a Luton, a Burnley, such clubs, maybe Ipswich, Bournemouth, and all those other clubs. But at the moment, Arsenal are big on signing a left back. You've got to cut some of those players. We've kept Kiwior, we've kept Tomiyasu, we've kept Julian Timber. So I'm sorry, it's gonna be Alexander Zinchenko, and I love him, and I would love to keep him at Arsenal. But we've got to be realistic here. If you have 4 fullbacks that play on the left hand side, and you're going to add a fifth one, what are you actually doing? It means that you have hope that one of them is going to leave, or even if not that, we might actually see 2 of them leave. So for me, Alexander Zinchenko at the moment, if a club can give us around, 25 to 35 million euros, that is very close to what we actually got for him, got him for. I would say you sell. Actually, he's a complete sell for me. If the right offer comes in, it's a complete sell because you can do better, right? With Declan Rice, that midfield is sorted now. We have a much better driver in there. I think with Partey and Jorginho, you also have very good ball progressors. Odegaard is doing his thing, and Julian Timber is going to be the inverter player, so the inverted fullback. So I can see Alexander Zinchenko has already seen the door. Sell, get some money. Let's make some money for these new players.
That's the first disagreement, as you already know.
Yeah,
For me, I would definitely keep him at the first season. He was incredible. Second season, not that much. So I think he deserves a third season. For me, I'd keep all the defenders. I wouldn't really buy a defender. I'd keep him there. I don't think he might be poor defending, but I don't think he's a bad player. In terms
he's
of
not.
completely
He's
bad
nowhere
player,
near a bad
useless
player.
player, no. He was very key in terms of us getting back. Like him and Jesus came in, and then that's the very first season we started competing for the title, and they were very crucial in terms of that. We had not competed for a title for years, since like 2016, and they were very crucial in terms of that. Second season wasn't great defending. Maybe those games he wasn't really supposed to play by mistakes, loses contrition, and all that. I'll probably use him in midfield. But I'm not going to ask you guys whether you keep or sell him. I know most of you would say sell, so I'm just going to put him in sell. But for me,
I
I'll
mean,
keep him on the bench and see.
also, we are not sure that we're going to get a massively very good offer. Yeah, because of his defensive inabilities. Clubs feel like you'd rather go for someone else, and I think actually clubs would rather sign Kiwior at the same price than Alexander Zinchenko. So at the moment we don't have a good bid. You keep because you don't have a good bid, but the moment a good bid comes in, I don't see how he stays.
So between now until the end of August, if teams only offered 20 million maximum, would you be like, forget about it, I'm keeping him?
20 million maximum. 20 million maximum. Do you think, I'm going to answer this using this. Do you think he's going to play more games than he played last season?
No.
No. 20 million euros, keep, sell. Because his value again, his value
will drop.
Is dropping.
He might be better in those games that he's going to play. Those 10 games might be better than what he was last season.
He might be better. But the thing is, if you played only 10 games and they are not, unless he plays 10 games towards the end of the campaign, which you're not going to see because Mikel is trying to win the title. So we might see him more during the preseason and the beginning of the season. And I don't think that is actually really going to give us a very good picture to sell. So at the moment, for 20 million euros, I know Mikel will not play him that much. I would sell.
Wow, interesting. Now, the next one cause is even more interesting. Thomas Partey. You can say keep, start him. You can say bench him. You can say sell him. Now, where do you stand? Have you changed your mind? Have you changed your mind from what your previous opinion on him was? For me, I think he's a very, very good player. If you're to get like someone in Saudi Arabia, 40 million, I probably would sell. But the thing is, I wouldn't get like one player to replace him. I'd probably get 2 players, like a Fofana and Onana together, or get a Bruno Guimaraes straight away or someone like that. But in terms of replacing him, I don't think it's easy. So for me, for now, I'd bank on, let's pray, let's keep him, and let's hope he doesn't get injured. Let's hope he can give us at least 20 games next season. What about you? Do you feel like you're waiting for the offers? You're ready for the offers. If someone gets us 40 million out, you're like, no, I don't care. Even if they give us 45 million, but is key. I'm keeping him.
I mean, with
Tough
Partey,
one.
tough one, very very tough one. The thing with him is he's irreplaceable at the moment. You can't replace him in the short term. You replace him in the wrong run, in the long run.
Mm,
That is number one. He's
yeah.
one of the best. I think he's the proper defensive midfielder we have had since Alexander Song belonged. Have we had another one? Really?
No, before him, I don't. It was a long time. You had to play
Yeah,
Coquelin. We had to
yeah.
play, Frank
No, no, no.
Pong and players like that.
Don't remind me of that. So because
Yeah.
of that, rare qualities, irreplaceable, you don't just throw him out of the door. Now he's very, very inconsistent. The reason why I'm going to keep Thomas Partey until the end of his contract is how much are we gonna get? That's the thing.
Mm,
How much are we gonna get? 7 million? 10 million? No, not really.
mm,
You would play Thomas Partey in the last 10 games of the season, and whoever is chasing you for the title is actually wasting their time, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
we could sit here and say, Aston Villa last season, you play Partey in that game, we dominate the midfield better. Maybe we have something different. We have a very, very different outcome, right? So I would say keep start
Mm,
because we
mm.
know if he's there, no one is better, at Arsenal. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure.
keep start. When his contract runs down, make sure you have found a very, very, very good replacement.
Interesting. I totally agree with everything you said there. Next up is Declan Rice. Because do you think we need to see more of him, loan him out to the championship? We're not even going to
um,
talk about Declan Rice, man. What
yeah,
a signing! Straight into the
most
starting lineup.
expensive, most expensive bargain ever.
So just a quick one, just a one word. Would you play him in the 6 or 8?
8.
8. Okay. Next up is Jorginho. Obviously, he's going to stay. Would you have kept him for me even before he got the contract? I was like, yeah, please keep him. He's done enough for us. For a player we signed for only 12 million, he's done enough for us. People are actually worried and Partey was injured, like, oh no, Jorginho, is he going to do the job? But he came to Arsenal in the January transfer window, helped us until the end of the season. And this one is stepped up once again to the point of where Arsenal fans are actually asking for a former Chelsea player to stay. It's never happened. Luis, people wanted him out. Willian, Czech, Gallas, all of those players, people wanted him out. Jorginho, would you definitely, if he had not signed a contract, would you be begging for him to get a contract?
Yeah, with El Neni going out of the door, we are losing something that you don't just get in the market. A player with experience, but also a player who has that extra leadership. He's very popular in the dressing room. He's respected, but most importantly, he can do the job. Now, that is what he's better than when it comes to him and El Neni. With El Neni,
Yeah.
when he's on the pitch, I like, okay, El Neni's on the pitch. But with Jorginho, he can do the job against Bayern, he can do the job against Madrid, he can do the job against Man City, and all those clubs that we know we will face very soon. So for him, I would even say, right, if we
Mm,
had not put Partey in start, I would say
mm,
start. And this is the reason why I would say start. He's going to be
yeah.
more available than Partey. There's no question about that. He's going to play more games
Mm,
than Thomas Partey. But obviously, he doesn't have the legs. He doesn't have the speed anymore to play 38 games in a season and then, stress him that much. Just needs to come into games to control much better and even, just to do his job, which is literally play when Partey is away.
interesting. So bench for Jorginho. We also don't need to speak about Odegaard because he's straight in the
Yeah.
starting lineup. He's been an incredible player for us. And we've talked about Odegaard a few times, comparing him to Smith Rowe because he has told me Odegaard is no one can do what he can do, and I absolutely
No one.
agree. So
No one.
Odegaard don't really need to speak about him. Do you see him staying there for the next 5 years for us as a starting player?
I mean, he's one of the players that I really think that he's going to gain a lot of interest as he grows older. I mean, we've seen things like players like Tony Cruz, Modric. Even when you're at Madrid, Mesut Ozil, and you're like, oh, where would Mesut Ozil go? He would be there. Where would Di Maria go? He would be there. And then you find yourself losing such a player in circumstances that you really cannot explain. So I won't be 100% sure Arsenal keep him until 5 years. But I would say in the next 2 years, Arsenal will have him. In the next 3 years, after the 2 years, Arsenal will struggle to keep him. But if I think he's one of those players that his mentality is top notch. If you're winning and you doing things to evolve that team, make sure that you're still signing winners, you're still refreshing the squad, you're doing all those right things and practices of a top club, he's gonna be there. The moment we reset to earlier Cronky settings, boom, he's gone.
He's gone. So next up is a player we've talked about a lot because over the last the videos that we've done over the last almost 2 weeks, the two players that we've talked about most, I'd say Benjamin Sesko 20% of the time and probably Smith Rowe 20% of the time. Now, if you're the Arsenal manager right now, Smith Rowe is asking you, listen, what should I do? Should I stay? Are you going to play me? Am I going to be on the bench and make some appearances? Should I go out on loan? You see how I'm going to do, or to increase my value? Or would you tell him now, Smith Rowe, night's over, you need to leave? What would you do with him?
I think with Emil, it's about him more than the club. I bet the club would want to sell, would want to keep. There's no question about that. But is he going to demand game time for himself as a player? And does he see himself ahead of other Arsenal players? The truth is no. He's going to need 2 more years for him to keep on knocking on that door. And eventually, when he knocks on that door, he's got to be consistent. So at the moment, as the likes of Saka are now constant England internationals, Ben White is just rejecting England. Emil Smith Rowe would also want the chance to say, no, I won't play for England this summer. But he doesn't have that. I think he wants to go out there and create a career for himself. So I would keep, right, and keep him on the bench. But that is not the realistic option. The realistic option that I would do this summer is sell. This is the time. I said this with Florian Balogun last year. There's a time when you've got to bite the bullet. Emil Smith Rowe is a clear explanation of what biting the bullet is. Like, you take poison cautiously. You know that this is called poison, and you take it. I think this is a situation where we are with Emil Smith Rowe. So for me, sell, raise some good money, and when you try to replace him, please get a homegrown player. I've seen Arsenal linked with the boy, I think it's called Adam Watson at Crystal Palace. I like him. I've not seen anything like him in
he's incredible in terms of tackles. I watched him at Blackburn before I even joined Palace.
Actually, not. I had not seen him anywhere before. I think like when I watch the likes of Palace, Bournemouth, a player like Watson is so rare, like really, really, really rare. So he's homegrown, right?
Yeah.
So I would replace him with a player like Watson, but at the moment, I would sell Smith Rowe. I would sell. Value is there. Right time, right opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't think his value is going to just go up. I think it might just go down in terms of lack of game time.
As I said, I'd try to keep him, but if you get the right money, I don't think can do much in terms of that. Because for him, I don't think he's a bad player. I really just think it's because of the injuries. So maybe he's been lucky with the injuries. If it wasn't for injuries, could have been up there. So El Neni, I mean, he's already gone. So let's just put him on sale quickly. I'm sure you'd have sold him as well. Fabio Vieira, because what did you do with Fabio Vieira?
Vieira is an interesting one because his value
can we consider loan?
Already. I wouldn't. It's for me, for Vieira, it's a keep or sell. And this is why. His value has dropped exponentially, really, really exponentially. I think if you're going to loan him out, you do what AC Milan did with one of the Belgian midfielders they signed last summer. I think it's called Catella, Di Catella. So what they did, they loaned him out, and they put a 15 million euro option to buy. Now, for Fabio Vieira, 15 million euros, someone would be really generous to give us that money right now. For the last 2 seasons, it's been like a ghost. He's been, he appears and disappears, appears and disappears. So that's why I wouldn't consider a loan deal. Honestly, I don't see it as the best option. If we want to keep him, we keep him. If we want to sell him, we sell him. I don't think anyone is going to give us good money. I don't think we can command good money in Fabio Vieira. But he is a player I see having a role to play when
Mhm,
when Martin Odegaard is not on the pitch. I can even,
mhm.
you said you wouldn't see him in the eight. In some games, I would actually see him in the eight. In some games, I would play Declan Rice, Fabio Vieira,
Ipswich at
and
home.
Martin Odegaard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in some games, I'd keep him as part of the squad, but I'll try, if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'll try to give him some games so that his value raises to around 25 million euros. And if you're unconvinced about him and someone next summer is willing to give you 25 million euros, you move him on.
I'd keep him as well. Now, if you have like Rice and Party there with him, absolutely fine. That is absolutely
Yeah.
okay. But I remember, that West Ham game where they trashed us in the Carabao Cup. We had a midfield
Kudus
of
and yeah,
Jorginho.
and the
We had
lads.
a midfield of Jorginho, Vieira, and Havertz. That's why we were destroyed like that. So if you have
Yeah.
Rice protecting him and then you have Odegaard, they're absolutely fine. But I like having all those three in the middle. It's a bit weak. I'd say that time Havertz are not really adapted to that playing that position for us to all over the place. So Vieira on the bench.
Bench, yeah, bench.
Havertz. Now we know it's start or bench for Havertz. What would you do with him? If you sign a striker, do you think he would have an impact off the bench, or do you think he just has to start? Do you think he's a player who you can be like, okay, it's 0-0, let's bring on Havertz, he'll change the game, or do you think
No,
he has to be there from
no,
the start?
no, 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 no,
Mm,
no, no. Like, I don't. He is an impact player because
mm,
Mikelat has played him through a rough patch of form, and I think he's a
mm,
player that understands the game better as it goes on. Like, for example,
mm,
the Chelsea game that we hit them 5, you could see in the first half, like, he was getting in good positions. But in the
yeah.
second half, the moment he really understood the disconnection between the centre backs at Chelsea,
Mm,
and he understood the patterns very well. He absolutely, went for the kill button. I don't think he's an impact player off the bench. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's Leandro Trossard. I don't think he's that guy. So for me, he starts games for that reason. Secondly, you want to reward him, right? You want to reward
mm,
him for the good performances he's put in during the back end of the campaign, but
mm,
also at the moment, I think
yeah.
in terms of leading the Arsenal press, in terms of helping out Martin Odegaard, no one does better. Now we said Gabriel Jesus, one of the best pressing forwards in the world. I think is definitely up there as well. But in terms of organized pressing, in terms of Arsenal press in a way that they want to force the goalkeeper and they want to force the defense to to play the ball into one of the players that is so uncomfortable in possession, so that they can actually close him down and win the ball back. I think that is what Kai Havertz is very good at. He presses
Yeah.
very, very well. Like, the amount of times he either wins the ball back or he engages and the second person wins the ball back, they're countless. And because he's a very good presser, actually, even when he had not started scoring goals, one of the things we had started seeing from him right from the start is engaging, just making sure that you don't have a clean pass as a player. He's got that bit of a fight in him in games, and I like that. I don't want clubs to bully us. So for me, it's a complete start. And when I
Mm.
look at the profile of strikers Arsenal looking at, he's a complete start.
Yeah, I think he's a start as well. Now there's a couple of games I think he's come off the bench, like the Brentford first leg. He came on and scored in the last minute. He can have that a few times, but I totally agree with everything that you say. When I look at the bench and I see Martinelli and Trossard, I'm like, yeah, even Jesus, I'm like, yeah, bring them on, like pace and quick feet and all this. They can help us get something quicker. Havertz, I think, is more of a start, and then if it doesn't work out, you take him off. People are considering selling him and stuff, but I don't think he's going to be sold. Bukayo Saka goes straight into the starting lineup. We don't really need to talk about him. If you consider Saka to be benched, I'm like, nah, man. Seriously, let's be honest. Gabriel Jesus, though, cause it. Gabriel Jesus. What would you do with Gabriel
Okay, yeah.
Jesus? This is another tough one. Now, I put him in the same category as Fabio Vieira and Zinchenko. Think they did okay first season, not the best second season, but I would give them the third season. If it doesn't work out the third season, I might even say up until January. If he's injured again and it's not working out, he only has one goal, then I might even consider selling them in January, the three of them.
Yeah, I mean, he spoke about his time during the season, and he said I didn't have the best seasons due to injury, but
Mm,
I will do whatever it takes to have a good preseason and then come back next season. So we will see
mm.
him. We'll see him on the left hand side, like we did against Brighton, and we'll see him on the right hand side, like we did in a couple of games as well. So he's got that versatility. He's a very, very intelligent player, 26, 27 years of age. That is the right, age for you to have around the squad winners. He's a game, a game changer. Now, when we talk about Kai Havertz not being a bench player to impact the game, Gabriel Jesus, yeah, there are times when he starts games and you're like, this guy is really wasting a lot of chances. But when he comes on, he brings that kind of lifted atmosphere, lifted environment. He lifts the environment, in games against Bayern. Oh yeah, I was like, this was really, really
Mm.
good. So that was really, really good. So for me, definite keep on the bench. Keep him for one more season. Let him be injury free. We pray. If Mikel Arteta is unconvinced about him, but he's played him, I think his value will be a little bit higher, and we'll get much from him.
There's a couple of games where Jesus opened it up for us. Like
Yeah,
Nottingham Forest away from home, we were
yeah.
struggling 0-0. Second half, Jesus quick running behind, quick dribbling, gets us a goal in the near post past Turner. Against
That
Luton,
was
quick throw in once
that was
again.
a gift from Matt
Turner.
Turner.
Yeah. A game against Luton, opening goal comes from
Yeah,
Gabriel Jesus' quickness. And he's had some big moments, as Kozia said. Games against Man United, the third goal. You can tell there's a quality there. If we sold Gabriel Jesus now, Cedric and Elneny probably add something in terms of leadership in the dressing room. But on the pitch, if I was to ask you, do you think we are losing anything by getting rid of Cedric?
I mean, he's played for a long time, but
Uh,
I wouldn't
no,
say
no,
really.
oh, no.
I wouldn't say really.
Elneny on the pitch, you don't feel like we're losing anything.
No, yeah, really. But with
Okay,
in terms of quality
Jesus.
with El Neni, I don't miss. I don't think we're missing anything. It's just leadership.
Okay. So what about Gabriel Jesus? If he leaves, do you feel like you're going to be losing something?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm,
With Gabriel Jesus, there is no doubt with his quality. There's no doubt, and
mhm,
there is no doubt with I think he's the only player, by the way, in this Arsenal team that you can trust to pick up the ball at the center line and drive and score.
mm,
If he had
mm,
that clinical level,
mm,
he can do that. Like,
mm,
basically what Kudus does, a lot of the time for West Ham, like just runs at players and then ends up in the penalty area. I think if you lose him, you're losing something.
mm,
There's even the element of leadership as a player who's done it, a player who has been you know with a winning team. So I think you're losing many things with him. It's just about whether Arsenal will be worried about his wages and him not being a
mm.
key member of the starting 11.
So where do you think we put him? Bench or sell?
Bench. Yeah, bench for now.
Bench. I'm so happy to hear that from you. That is where I'd put him as well. Gabriel Martinelli cause incredible season in 2022-2023, but I predicted him last season to have the most assists for us. I think he only got like 3 or something. In terms of that,
Yeah.
did not. In terms of chances, he was missing a lot. He came back, scored twice against Palace. You're like, okay, he's now back. But as we've pointed out several times, missed a couple of one-on-ones against Chelsea, missed a one-on-one against Wolves. He did it a lot. I mean, we were like, this guy's confidence is completely shot. But if you look at some moments this season, like against Man City, scored the winning goal. You look at the moments like against there's a team, another team where he scored. Even the Crystal Palace 2 goals. There's moments where he's very quality. Champions League gets the pass from Tomiyasu against Lons, runs in behind.
Yeah.
Sevilla, one-on-one. Like when Martinelli passed one-on-one against Sevilla that time, I knew he was definitely going to score. And another thing we forgot to mention about Jesus, that assist Jesus had in that game, he has that very quick
Incredible.
thinking.
Yeah.
Martinelli, I expected him to score in that situation. After that, he missed a few one-on-ones. But in terms of running past the goalkeeper, Martinelli is who you'd want there. So I guess for Martinelli, it's between start or bench. What did you do with him
Bench.
next
Yeah.
season? Trossard has been incredible. What did you do personally? Did you put him on the bench as an impact player?
I think his confidence would
Very
suffer
tough.
more. I think his confidence would
Mm,
suffer more if you put him on the bench. He's a player
mm,
that thrives off confidence. He's a player that thrives off a good momentum. So I would
mm,
start him for the first
mm.
5 to 7 games, right?
I agree. I would
So
do the
yeah.
same as
So,
well.
so and also in terms of longevity, he's going to be here longer than Trossard.
Mm,
So you want to give him enough time. You want to protect him like you've protected Kai Havertz, like you've protected Saka. You want to protect him until he becomes your nailed-on left winger, because he's going to be our nailed-on left
yeah.
winger at the moment. So I would start him, and then Trossard be, Trossard be that kind of threat to him, and I think he knows that Trossard is a threat, because without Trossard, starting every game last season, he's actually been an impactful player. 11 goals, right? Without him starting every game. So that
Mm.
means that if he gets ahead of him and he scores 17, Martinelli is in trouble. So I would start him in next season right away, just to see how much he has actually, picked on and picked off Leandro Trossard.
100% agree as well. For me, Martinelli starts for me next season. I still don't think he's a bad player. He had a very poor time in terms of confidence and all that. But I think if you have Martinelli on the pitch, again, if you ask opposition fans whenever we play them, who are you worried about? Martinelli is usually mentioned, even if he's on the bench, even if he's not on great form, they're scared of him.
Yeah. And also I think that there was a time when the whole team was disconnected
Down,
and
yeah.
didn't go through a good time, and they were not scoring goals. But during the last part of the campaign, Odegaard picked up, Kai picked up, Trossard picked up. I think Saka was the only one who was giving us, consistent numbers throughout the whole season. And I would actually say that Saka didn't give us many numbers when the rest of the team was giving us those big numbers. He gave us good numbers before. He was the, kind of the savior, like. So I think with Martinelli, he doesn't have to worry a lot. When he was poor, all the team was poor. He just needs to focus on how do I get myself involved when everyone is actually, delivering.
And then something I usually remember about Martinelli was that 2022-23 when you lost to Man City twice and he started dropping off. Martinelli was our best player during that period. Yeah. Those games against Liverpool away 2-2, he was incredible in most of those games. He got an assist for Odegaard against West Ham in the other 2-2. He was very good for us at that end of the season. So start him. Nketiah, Kozi. Nketiah is next up. What should you do with Nketiah?
Nketiah is our dollars. He's our dollars, like no question there. If there was the one player that I know is going to leave Arsenal this summer, it's going to be Nketiah. And if anyone is willing to give us like 70 million euros, thank you so much. We promise that Eddie is one of the best talents on the planet right now.
Yeah.
And if not because we have changed our playing system, we are very, very saddened to lose him this summer. We wouldn't want to lose him this summer.
To be fair to him on a serious note, I feel like he would score 15 goals in a team that he goes to. But do you feel like he's overstayed his Arsenal run?
Yeah. He's been there too long. He's become comfortable. And I don't think he can now outperform. That he needs a new challenge. New challenge. Brighton would be a very good destination. In terms of what Arsenal needs, the cash. Who has a lot of money? Someone coming from the Championship would give us some good cash.
Leicester.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Comfortable. That's the word I used in 2022 and I wanted him. 2021 and I wanted him in Nelson till I said like Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Saka have all come after them and they've overtaken them because I feel like Nketiah Nelson became too comfortable. But we all know he's going to leave. So Nketiah on sale. Trossard, Kozi, bench or start? There's no problem even if you have more than 11 starters. No problem.
Trossard bench. There is no other player that you can trust to score you a goal. The goal is scored against Everton in the first leg.
Oh, amazing.
That was insane. That was absolutely insane, right?
Probably one of my best goals this season.
Yeah. I think for him, it's either because of experience or because he's too talented. He doesn't really mind when he comes onto the pitch. He really doesn't care. Like he's not these players that think about, oh, I'm dropping off, I'm no longer starting games, or I didn't start. He really doesn't care. Like he's come on games so many times and he has scored, and that is it. So for me, best impact player at the club. Just make sure that he is satisfied. Give him whatever he wants, and make sure he's at Arsenal for the next 5 years.
I know Trossard is very, very good. Before he even joined Arsenal 3 years ago, he
Yeah,
did a player, which player I want from every single team. Trossard was mine from Brighton. Now, I really wanted him to do well, but there's a certain part was a little bit right, like, oh no, maybe he could prove me wrong. Maybe it's not what I expected. There's two main factors in terms of what people were thinking about him from January to January, his first year at Arsenal. People thought this is just an assist merchant. Maybe he can't really score goals because he came and had like 12 assists and 1 goal, like between January and the end of the season. But I was like, I know this guy can score goals. I've seen him scoring hat tricks against Liverpool at Anfield for Brighton. I'm so happy he's made that correct this season in
yeah,
terms of scoring goals. The other thing that people are usually saying is Trossard is better from the bench, not really as a starter, because there's a few games at the beginning of the season. I think he started against Fulham, I think
yeah,
against Man City or someone, and he didn't play well. I think he was subbed off at halftime a couple of times, and people are
yeah.
like, nah, maybe this guy's just an impact player. But at the end of the season, he showed us that he can start games and make an impact. FC Porto, games against Wolves and stuff, he can do it. So we put him on the bench for now. Trossard, very, very good. Reece Nelson, cubs.
Sell. I don't know how much we would get. I mean, I really have big problems valuing him, but I am not really sure why we didn't cash in on him last summer. Maybe
Mm.
because of the contract. Now he has
No,
a longer
no, I know,
contract.
no, I know, I know.
Mm,
He was injured. I think if
okay,
he, was it 2 seasons ago? I think he's been injured in both pre-seasons. There's a time I think he
okay,
definitely should have been sold, but he got injured, and then he
okay.
came in the next season. He had an impact, and then he was rewarded with another stay, and
With a
then
new
I think he
contract.
got injured. I think he got injured again at the beginning of the season. So I think that's why we didn't sell him in the last couple of summers. I think he was injured.
So this summer you've got to sell. If someone is
Mm,
giving us good money, thank you very much. But even if we don't get good money, this is one
mm,
player that I don't think, oh, we didn't get good money this summer, we'll get good money next summer. No. I think his time at Arsenal is depleting. I won't be surprised to see Ethan Nwaneri come and
mm,
start games over this guy.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I
for me, it's a
totally
definite
agree.
sell.
Okay, now let's go to the loan players. We already talked about Okonko. You only have one player on the loan category. What about Kieran Tierney? Do you think his time is up as well?
Yeah, his time is up at Arsenal. I don't think you are looking to loan him out again. The loan deal we did with Real
Yeah.
Sociedad didn't make any sense for me. It really didn't.
Mm. What did you want
Because
to happen in that summer?
I would have sold or
Mm,
s- loan him out with an obligation to buy. And I would have also loaned him out to a club that is more likely to buy him. I don't see Real Sociedad really buy a Scottish guy, at
mm,
the end of his not really. I mean, not to
yeah.
say that Spanish clubs don't do it. They do. Bellingham is there. He's English, and Bella's gone there. He's Welsh. But if you loaned him out to a Celtic, if you loaned him out to a club, around the United Kingdom, you had a bigger chance of this guy signing at the end of his contract than at Real
Mm,
Sociedad. So for me,
yeah.
no, it didn't make any sense. I think another loan deal would just be disastrous.
I agree. No, not advice. I'll just do it for you right now. I'm just going to put him in sell. Do you think there's any chance he recovers his Arsenal career? Or do you think he's just not good enough, even if he was given the chance?
Now, in terms of good enough, that's where I disagree with people. I
Mm.
don't think he's a bad player. I
Would you
think
consider
he
loan?
is. No, not alone. I would sell. I would
Mm,
sell.
mm,
Um, yeah, but I think is a player that would play for a specific manager,
mm, mm.
specific system, specific manager. Like when you look at him and you look at Grimaldo or Frimpong,
Yeah.
he's a player that really doesn't want to defend. So don't play him in a position where you're asking him to do defensive, duties. Not really. So I'll just move him on.
Interesting. Lokonga had a good time at Crystal Palace and had a good
Hmm.
time at Luton. Do you think he deserves another loan just for us to see what he can do? Maybe he deserves 3 loan spells like Saliba.
Not really, but a
Mm,
loan would be is a player I would loan out
mm,
because his time at Luton kind of
mm,
raised his value. So clubs will be
mm,
aware. So I
mm,
think clubs that from the championship would actually use him. And I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's adapted very well to life in between the middle of the table in the Premier League. So I'd give him out on a loan. If there is an obligation to buy, nice, because he had a good campaign with Luton. If there is no obligation to buy, I know if he plays more games alongside Wilfred Ndidi, let's say at Leicester City, we would have a chance of getting even 20 plus million euros next summer.
So you put him on loan?
Yeah, out loan.
Okay. Marquinhos is the last one, Cozy. Marquinhos, remember him? And do you think we've seen enough? Does he need another loan spell at in the championship again? You went to Norwich a couple of years ago, or do you think Nice hasn't worked out for him? He doesn't fit in the Premier League period.
We've not seen a lot from him, but when we signed him, I said he's the kind of player that you buy for you to make some profit. Like, I mean, those players, 3 million, 13 million, 7 million, you buy them, you will make some profit on them. So at the moment with Marquinhos, I don't think Arsenal are really under pressure like we are under a player like Runarsson. I mean, when you look at Runarsson, you're desperate to get him out.
We found a way to mention him again.
But with Marquinhos, we are not under pressure. We are not under immense pressure to get him out. So I would say give him a loan deal and let's see how he does. Let's see if we can get even more money when we sell him.
Wow, this is an interesting one, man. We've gone with our starting 11. We've had players like Kiwior, Tomiyasu, Jorginho, Vieira, Jesus, and Trossard on the bench, and the rest in terms of loan and sell. That was a really, really good one. Quick question, Cozy, just to finish in terms of the sales, just tell me how much you'd be looking for. Aaron Ramsdale?
30 million euros.
Zinchenko?
25 million euros.
Smith Rowe?
35 million euros.
Eddie?
40 million euros.
Wow. Nelson?
15 million euros.
Tierney?
Wow. I think I'm going to go 15. I'm going to go 15.
Tavares?
5.
Wow, that is absolutely fantastic. That was the keep and keep or sell with, because there's no if you disagree with any of them. I mostly agree with everything that Kozia said, apart from a couple. I would keep Zinchenko personally and Smith Rowe. I would wait. Maybe if the money is good and you really need to use it elsewhere, then I'd probably move him on. But the rest of them, I think most of you would agree. But let us know in the comment section which ones you definitely disagree with. Make sure to check out Kozi's video later on today. We'll be live with him. Make sure to check that one out. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch up with you guys on the next one.